Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing something quick and easy, and it is going to be the Anti TBR Tag. We talk a lot on this channel about things that I want to read, so I thought it would be fun to dive deep into some of the things that I do not want to read, will never read, have no interest in, just so that you guys can get to know me a little bit more. So let's get a little controversial. I know this tag is a little bit old. I think most of the videos I watched on it were from about a year ago, but hear me out. I was not on YouTube about a year ago. So this one is new to me, and frankly, this is one that really withstands the test of time. The questions will never get old, there will always be new answers, and new things to find out about your favorite booktubers. Let's dive right in. Question 1 is a popular book everyone loves, but you have no interest in reading. So I do have a few answers for this one. The first one is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This was on my TBR. It might still actually be on my TBR, but now that it's kind of moved on from being a new release, I just think I'm not that interested in it. I don't think I care for the setting. Even the title just, to me, says very sleepy. Where the Crawdads Sing. I don't care where the crawdads sing. I know that's obviously not what this book is about. It goes much deeper than that, and everyone seems to love this, but I just no longer have any interest in picking this one up. Who knows? Maybe someday down the road, but there are far too many other books that have caught my attention. This is not one that I'm going to be turning to anytime soon. The second one is Bunny by Mona Awad. I've heard very polarizing opinions about this book. Kayla at Books and Lala, it's one of her favorite books of all time, and I really trust her judgment. But from what I gather, this book is just weird. And I don't really think I'm into the weird stuff. Maybe here and there, but nothing about the description of this book stands out to me and makes me want to pick it up. The third one was a big one, I think, last year, and that is The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I've definitely dabbled in Kristen Hanna. Some of her older stuff I really liked, you know, more of that romance. I think a lot of this stuff is about like relationships and family. Her new stuff is definitely hitting heavier, and I'm not really into it. Like everyone else, I read The Nightingale. I liked it. It was great. But to me, it doesn't really get the hype that everyone gave it. I then read The Great Alone. It was okay. But man, that was long and depressing and all over the place and really like a lifetime character study. And by the end of it, I was just bored. And I cannot think of anything that sounds more boring than reading a story about a family living in middle America in the Dust Bowl. I mean, come on. Does that capture anyone's interest? This really just seems like, this just seems so boring. I'd rather pull my eyelashes out one by one than pick this book up, honestly. Sorry, Kristen. And the last one that I put for this one was A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I mean, that sounded pretty flowy. This one's a lot like Where the Crawdads Sing. It's been on my TBR. It probably still is. I think I took it out from the library once, but never cracked it open. I hear this one is really sad. Now, hear me out. I am not against a sad book. I love a good cry from a sad book. But I don't like this cover. I think the whole thing just sounds depressing. It's a little too heavy hitting. And in this season of life where we're kind of dealing with this stuff every day, I don't really see a need to dive further into a depression by reading something like this. Maybe someday. Okay, question 2. A classic book or author you don't have an interest in reading. So if you've seen some of my other videos, you know I don't dabble too much into classics, but that I really have a calling to. I really, really want to get into them. And I'm just trying to figure out where to start at this point. If I had to pick some that I have no interest in, one would be anything by Shakespeare. I just don't understand the verbiage. I don't understand the way things are written. And I just don't have an interest in reading a passage and then following along with like a easy to understand version. I wish I had more of an interest in this. I know people love his stuff. It's obviously so well known, but I just have no interest in checking out anything by Shakespeare. The book that I don't have any interest in picking up is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. This is probably for obvious reasons. I don't know much about it, except for the one thing that everyone knows about it. And there's too many other things out there in the world. I don't want to read this. That's all that needs to be said, I guess. Question 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading. For this one, I picked an author whose books that I have never read a single one of, and who has many, many books. And for that, I've picked Cassandra Clare. Her whole multiverse is just beyond me. I started looking into it a few years ago because I thought, like I mentioned in a previous video, that a well-rounded reader would have read these books, especially if I was interested in starting a booktube page. It seems that everyone has checked these out. They really slap you in the face on booktube. They're everywhere, everyone loves them, everyone raves about them. But between the sheer number of books, the sheer number of universes, and frankly, the recommended way that you're actually supposed to read these in a specific order, the overall plot, everything about them, at this point in my life, I am just a hard pass. I have no interest in going back to these and revisiting any of her books. All right, question 3.2 is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. For this one, I did take a cop-out. I'm not going to answer this because I do not feel well informed enough about the reasons that some of these authors are problematic or have been canceled. I just don't know enough. I'm not informed enough. I know that we have certain feelings about certain authors who have made certain statements or certain tweets, but I do not feel okay taking a stance against anybody because I haven't done my research on it. Easy as that. Question 4 is an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. I have 2 answers for this. First is Colleen Hoover. I have read 3 of her books, I believe. She's just not for me. I don't like her characters. I don't like her storylines. I don't like her themes. I think her writing is very juvenile. Her characters are very juvenile, even though they purport to be adults. I just can't stand it. Verity is one of my most hated books of all time. I don't even like her covers. I think they're awful. I was in Target today and they had a few of them displayed and I think they redid her covers. I think they're terrible. They're just terrible. I hate them. I hate the way they're designed. I just won't be picking up any more Colleen Hoover books. The second author that I've read that I just don't think their books are for me is Riley Sager. Although I love the thriller mystery genre and he writes exclusively that, most of these have just been meh for me. And frankly, I'm kind of tired of trying to make them work. I've read, God, 3 from him. See, I've read Home Before Dark, The Last Time I Lied, and Lock Every Door. Lock Every Door I thought had a little bit of a redemptive twist at the end, but overall, these are just lackluster for me, and I'm not gonna be picking up any more from him. All right, question number 5 is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. So my answer for both of these is young adult. There was certainly a time when I was really into young adult. I've read Twilight, I've read Hunger Games, I've read a few other random young adult selections, but I read them when I was a young adult. I am now just a full-fledged adult. And a lot of the themes of young adult books is this feeling of angst that you have when you are going through young adulthood. In my life as a 35-year-old woman, I have way too much going on to give any space to teenage angst. I have my own angst. I'm a 30-something millennial living in a world where Roe v. Wade might be overturned. I have enough angst as it is. I don't need any angst from the teenagers. All right, question number 6 is a book you have bought but will never read. I mentioned this in my unhaul video that for a period of time I was buying books because I thought that as a well-rounded reader that was going to be taken seriously, I needed to have read certain things. I needed to have really explored all genres. I needed to have more serious things to talk about. And during this period of time, I bought, full price, East of Eden by John Steinbeck. It is still on my shelves today. I don't know why it didn't make it into my unhaul, save for the fact that maybe someday I really do hope I'll read it. But no, at this time, I look back on the person that I was the day that I bought that for full price. And I just want to hug that girl because she spent her hard-earned money that she could have spent on probably 2 or 3 different books that she might have loved on this classic book that I will likely never pick up now. Either way, I own it. I don't think I'm ever gonna read it. I don't know why I keep it. Maybe because a small part of me still thinks that I should have books like this, but I have no intention of reading it. All right, question number 7. That was not 7, that was 8. Question number 7. My family and I are leaving for Florida in 3.5 hours. And my brain is sort of just mush with like packing and lists and last minute shopping and worrying that my bag is gonna weigh over 40 pounds because apparently 40 pounds is the new limit for the bags that you check, and traveling with a toddler is not easy. And so we're working with mush today. So question 7 is a series you have no interest in reading or a series you started and have DNF'd. Again, I have one answer for each of these. The series that I have no interest in reading kind of goes back to the other question about which author. It's really any fantasy series. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas, Shadow and Bone series by Leigh Bardugo, Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, obviously anything by Cassandra Clare. I just don't have any interest in going into these series. I don't really care for series as it is, so this isn't unusual for me. With one exception, I am crazy about Finley Donovan. I have her second book right now and I am so excited that this is a series because I loved that first book. So with that exception, other series are really just not my thing. Now, a series that I started and will DNF is the Wayward Children series by Shannon McGuire. I own a few of these. I think they're really beautiful. I think I mostly got into them because they were so small, and the writing is good and the concept is good. But again, this is fantasy, magical realism. I just don't really have any interest in reading this genre anymore. So I think I've read 2, maybe 3 of them, and I have no interest in continuing the series. And finally, the real question 8 is a new release you have no interest in reading. So again, I have two answers for this. One is not that surprising. That is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Like I said earlier, I will not be picking up anything else by him. The second one might be a little more surprising, and that is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Surley. The reason for this is that I read In 5 Years last year. I had such high hopes for this book. This book was like right up my alley in terms of premise. And this book was the biggest disappointment of the year. I didn't like this book. I thought this was a total bait and switch. We were sold this idea of this sort of time travel, destiny, soulmate. Is life fated to happen, or do we have a choice in it? And I really thought that that's what this was going to be about. There was nothing like what this was about. Total bait and switch. She sold me one thing and gave me another, and ultimately I was super pissed about that. On top of that, I didn't believe the friendship between these two girls. This absolutely didn't work for me. I don't understand how anybody can believe that these two girls would be friends. I think it is so cliche to have this idea that like opposites attract. Not in this case. These two girls would never be friends in real life, in my opinion. And I was so disappointed in it that I just really have no interest in picking up anything else from her. I'm kind of like a scorned ex with this one. I look at it, it's beautiful, a really pretty cover. I want to be interested in it, but I'm not. I just don't trust Rebecca Surley anymore. She's broken my trust, and I'm not gonna read it. All right guys, that wraps up the Anti TBR book tag. Now you know a little bit about what I have no interest in reading, and maybe your answers match, maybe they don't. I don't know. Let me know down below. As always, let's start a discussion. I love hearing what you guys think, the opinions that you have. I reply to every single comment because I do just want to talk to people and make friends. Does that sound needy? Maybe I'm a little needy. I don't know. I want friends. Come on. It's hard to meet friends in your 30s. Anyway, thank you as always for checking this video out. I had so much fun doing this one. I tag all of you if you haven't done it. I love to watch these videos, so make one, let me know, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!